Hey everyone, it is Monday. It is a rainy Monday. It has been raining all day and it's been gray since I got up. I had one Zoom responsibility today. All of my classes are online and they're all on Zoom. I have a required spiritual formation group. It is for those of us who are pursuing a certificate in prison ministry. I am pursuing a certificate in prison ministry, and there are a lot of requirements for their certificate, thankfully. One of them is that you take a year-long spiritual formation course so that you're grouped with a collective of other students who are also pursuing the certification, and you talk about restorative practices and you just check in with each other. To do prison ministry requires a lot of empathy and self-reflection and processing through trauma and the trauma of others, and so it's important as you're first sort of experiencing that ministry and experiencing for some experiencing the prison system for the first time. It's important to have a place where you talk through and build a system of sustaining practices and theologies to help you approach that ministry in a way that avoids burnout. So I had that today. We just sort of did a check-in. We haven't spoken since Thanksgiving. We had a break from basically Thanksgiving until I think last week. So it was good to check in and see everyone. I am thinking, so a lot of my books this semester are digital. Some of that is because my professors are awesome and chose books that were available in the library, or chose articles or resources that were digital, which is great and equitable and awesome. Some professors had a mix where they were trying to reduce the amount of books you actually have to purchase because not everyone has access to the in-person library right now, and so some of my professors had some books that we had to purchase. And I also have books from last semester just kind of sitting next to my desk in a box here, so I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to do a what's in the book box thing and talk you through the books. I haven't read all of the books that are in my book box. I have great friends and family members who send me books. I just have a really eclectic book box. And a good friend of mine reached out who's been following my vlogs, and she was like, "Where's the books?" So they're coming. I tried this week to push all of my required assignments, all the work that I was going to do on my required assignments and reading, to today so that I have a big deadline coming up on Friday. So I wanted to give myself some headspace Tuesday through Friday to be able to do that. Hey y'all, I had like a crazy epiphany today with some of the work that I am writing. So I didn't really get a chance to check in at all or even get any establishing shots or B-roll or anything like that. I am so glad I got this epiphany. I have just been trying very hard to be open to revelation about what I am writing about, and the timing has not been quick. I suppose I've been steeping, so it came today. I'm happy about that, but it meant that I just nosedived into it and didn't talk to y'all, so yep. Pretty pooped. All my mental energy is gone. Oh, one thing I can talk about is I started using an app that another YouTuber named Cheyenne recommended. I've been watching her a lot lately, and the app is called Forest, and you basically set a timer for yourself to rest or to work, and you can earn all these little plant things, and anyway, you click plant and it plants your tree, and if you X out or do something else during that time frame that you've allocated, your tree dies. Oh, but if you don't, you could forest, and your forest looks like that. So that's been my day today. I obviously did a lot more, but it wasn't really in my app because I wasn't really distracted all that much because I was super motivated. But you go to your month or your year and you have all these trees. And it's cute. There's also a thing where you can plant trees together with a friend, and then if one of you doesn't do your thing, then both of your trees die. So there's some accountability. You can spend your little tokens on those little items, or you can go to a real forest. You can plant a real tree with trees for the future. And you can pause and read that if you wish. But that's what I've been. That's my new offering. That one does cost money. I think it was $2. Sorry about the sound of the silverware. Anyway. Talk soon. Book box. I need a jingle, like na 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 na. What's in my book box? Huh? Anyway, if you come up with a jingle for my book box, let me know. So I wanted to do a what books was I required to purchase this semester, but because of my many professors being so kind in giving us digital handouts, or having the book on reserve in the library digitally, or so on and so forth, there weren't a whole lot of books I had to purchase this semester, which was rad, but I have a lot of books that were just sitting next to my desk, so I'll just show you my books. Oh, you also missed when I was first looking in this box, because I literally just kind of kept my books in this box, which is not super aesthetically pleasing, but is the situation. I pulled out a book and there was a big black spider on it, so as is a normal reaction to big black spiders, I careened backwards into my lamp over there, made a big noise and a scream, and eventually took care of the situation. So there's that. I had my super awesome ethics class, and I asked a question about how do we, within the shalom tradition of peace, which is not a peace that is absence of conflict, but a peace that sort of pushes toward a sort of right relationship in all directions. And I asked, what do we do when the people who have been wronged are dead? We can't be in right relationship right now with people who are dead. And we got into this great conversation, because my imagination today has been sort of captured by Holocaust remembrance, and what does remembrance do in the world of ethics and morality, but what does it also do in the world of Christianity, and how do we think about remembrance? And a communion, right, is an act of remembrance, and so where is justice in the act of remembrance? And my professor was talking about right remembering, and that being a process of pursuing justice out of the tragedy of a loss. So he recommended a book to me. I'll link below. I'll link all of my books below, but I'll pull that one out as just a recommendation. So anyway, I haven't read all these books. I've been gifted some of these books. So I'll let you know which ones I've been gifted and why I think I was gifted them. And anyway, so the first book, drumroll, is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Yeah, it's got this really beautiful illustration. I'll hold it so I can zoom in. Yeah. I really enjoy Little Women. My family got me this book. This was a book we read growing up. I like the vivid imagination of the author in putting together these sort of juxtaposed personalities that are all trying to explore questions of womanhood and humility and self-reflection and loss. The decoration on this one, sort of the gold writing, is really sweet, so I got this one as a gift. Number 2, Living Without Enemies. I believe this book was recommended to me in my Restorative Justice and Prison Ministry course. I will read the back for you. It says, with senseless violence occurring throughout society, people are suffering and communities are groaning. Fear and not knowing where to begin hold many back from doing anything, but is doing something really what is most needed? Marcia Owens and Samuel Wells tells the story of a community's journey into deeper dimensions of social engagement through prayer vigils for local victims of gun violence and friendships with both victims and offenders. Owen learned that presence was precisely the opposite of violence. It was love. Living Without Enemies offers profound insights into what it takes to overcome powerlessness, transcend fear, and engage in radical acceptance in our dangerous world. So that is a good one. It is also not particularly thick. Number 3, this one I have not actually read. I was gifted it from my family. It is called A Walk in the Woods. It's a New York Times bestseller. The tagline is Rediscovering America on the Appalachian Trail. In between moving from DC to North Carolina for grad school, I did like a 4-day mini hike along the Appalachian Trail. 'Twas miserable, but also I'm very glad I did it. The amount of little spider and insect eyes that you pick up with your headlamps is something. Anyway, I haven't read this yet. It is a New York Times bestseller, so maybe in between grad school and whatever is next, I will read this. This one's really good. It is called Liberation and Reconciliation. It is by J. Diotis Roberts, and it is a Black theology text. This was an excellent read. It was very challenging, and I highly recommend reading this. This is, I want to say, from the 70s. First released in 1971. Oh, who knows? This is by no means a reflection of updated Black theology or liberation theology. We read this for my theology course I had last semester. If you have texts that you love that are more recent about Black theology, please comment below. To conclude, Liberation and Reconciliation, an amazing book. This one I have not read yet. I'm very excited about reading it. The tagline is, The Aftermath of Violence from Domestic Abuse to Political Terror. Got it from a beautiful body practitioner. She is a wonderful cephalopod of a human being. I'll just read you the back. It says, when Trauma and Recovery was first published in 1992, it was hailed as a groundbreaking work. In the intervening years, it has become the basic text for understanding trauma survivors. By placing individual experience in a broader political frame, Judith Herman argues that psychological trauma can be understood only in a social context, drawing on her own research on incest, as well as on a vast literature on combat veterans and victims of political terror. She shows surprising parallels between private horrors like child abuse and public horrors like war. I met my cephalopod friend in undergrad. We were both dance majors, and our imaginations are captured by healing and embodiment. So I am looking forward to diving into this book. If y'all don't know about Isadora Duncan, You should. Isadora Duncan is a modern dancer. Scandalous, proto-feminism, global celebrity, revolutionary politics. She had a personification of flair. Her philosophy on movement and dance is inspiring. I finally found it. It's hard to find, and read it last summer and couldn't put it down. This is a new one. Nurturing Faith and Hope. Black Worship as a Model for Christian Education. Taking a worship and Christian formation class, and this was one of the required books that we had to purchase. It seems great so far for my cursory sort of scrub through. I'm just noticing the cover of this book has an awful lot of like embodied worship imagery. Next one. Oh, I like this one. Contemporary Art and the Church. I wish more theological seminaries would do work with like performance studies programs. My other master's in performance studies at NYU Tisch, I feel like there's so much overlap that worship and liturgy and performance studies have in terms of the way they look at art or worship sort of forming a person, and I just want them to be in deep conversation, and I recognize why they are not. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as to why they are not, because that's like a whole nother vlog and a half, but I would love for there to be a reconciliation, like a deep reconciliation between those two communities. It has a bunch of essays from different artist theologians. You could take it essay by essay if you would like. Okay, this one was a gift, also that I haven't read yet, also from my family. 3 by Annie Dillard, including Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, An American Childhood, and The Writing Life. Haven't read it, was gifted it as a book of enjoyment. Looking forward to reading this post semester. This one is called Moral Politics. It's by George Lakoff. The subscript is How Liberals and Conservatives Think. I hear discourse differently because of this book in a way that is honest and helpful. George Lakoff essentially dives into the metaphors that both camps tend to use and what constructs those metaphors create, and how we hold these metaphors almost as like truth myths. This book is fascinating. Had to read this for my restorative justice and prison ministry course. If you are an American living in America, trying to decipher American politics, this book is for you. It is called The Theater of God's Glory, which you could probably tell why I read it based on the word theater. David Taylor is another one of my go-to authors. He has a great interview with Eugene Peterson. He has a great interview, or I think a couple great interviews, but the one I'm thinking of is a great interview between Eugene Peterson and Bono, and it is so good. It's so good. W. David O. Taylor, I think he's at Fuller Theological Seminary. There are portions of this, specifically a chapter about Calvin's theology and the physical body, which was mind-boggling. If you read one chapter, read that chapter. The Complete Jewish Bible, the English version by David H. Stern. Why is this Bible different from all other Bibles? Because it is the only English version, fully Jewish in style and presentation. It includes Dr. Stern's new version of the Tanakh and highly acclaimed Jewish New Testament. The Complete Jewish Bible follows the Hebrew Bible order of the Tanakh's books and order with which Yeshua, parentheses Jesus, was familiar. Last one. Grace. How Liturgy Shapes Us by Daniel T. Benedict Jr. Fairly certain I also needed this for my Christian worship and formation course. Patterned by Grace rekindles the discovery of worship as a remarkable spiritual adventure. With great faith and affection, Daniel Benedict rescues liturgy from its stuffy associations, revealing liturgy as a momentous occasion every Sunday morning, no matter the worship style. I do dance worship. That's what I live to practice. So I'm very excited to read this. Thanks for joining me today in my book box time. If you have read any of these books, please comment below. Talk to y'all later.